What is up? We are just a couple weeks away from the playoffs, and we have 5 bold predictions going into playoffs. Now, we're gonna give the caveat before you guys roast us in the comments. We're not going chalk here. We're actually we're being bold with these predictions. So honestly, if looking at it from a betting perspective, if we go 1 out of 5 on this, you're making money probably. And if you want,
please roast us. Roast
us.
Go for it. Please.
And
try your best.
If you really believe in us, parlay all 5 together and get wild. Now
some of them made.
I'm going McGrady in the All-Star game here. I'm gonna give myself the self alley-oop and lead this one off. And my bold prediction is, the Lakers can win the Western Conference. Now, Handbone's face says it all.
Watch the comments.
Yeah. Going back to March 18th.
Oh God.
Lakers are 8-1 in that stretch. What's a key to winning in the playoffs? You have to be consistent on both ends.
To get in the playoffs.
They are top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. You look at the standings currently right now. They're in the 9 seed at the time of this taping. They would play Golden State in the play-in. However, they're only a game and a half out of the 6 seed. So the way they're playing now, and with 5 games remaining, not the toughest schedule. If they get out of that, the Lakers can win the Western Conference.
So you're essentially betting on them to beat either Denver or Minnesota, right?
Or not unless they get the 6 seed. Well, then
it's unlikely for them to get the 6
Not
seed.
really. Dude, look at their last 5 games.
A lot of teams they got to climb up. You're assuming
a game and a half.
The road is daunting. It's hard to say because everyone is so tightened up in a bunch. So, they'd have to win, at home 1 playing game at this point. Probably go on the road. That could be the Kings who've kind of owned them.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantees there. And if they do get in as the 8 or the 7, that's a very tough series. Now, with that said, they've looked really good. Their offense is actually clicking. I think putting Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup has made a big difference for them. And they've stayed healthy.
With Rui, their 5-man unit, but most of my numbers are based off of that March 18th date because that's where things really started to click and turn around. When they flipped the switch, something LeBron teams
how convenient.
Yeah, how convenient.
Yeah.
Rui, Reeves, Russell, LeBron, Brow, I think 9.8 net rating. That group is really playing good ball of late.
It is. And, I'm not the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan, but
he's been sick.
But he's shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
He really is. He's shooting the lights out. He's 42% from 3 on the season.
He also probably gives up those kind of numbers defensively.
He does.
Rui had a great playoffs last year. I understand if this team gets in, they are 100% dangerous. I question whether they can get in. You're saying they're a game and a half out of 6, which is fine, but you have to leapfrog 3 teams to get to that point.
But they could also very easily get to 8. I think it's a half game to get to 8. And then if you get to 8, that's where they were last year, right? They were in that 7-8 playing game and then went and upset Memphis. I know Memphis had their problems, but it's not like they haven't done it before.
It's a lot to ask. It's just a lot to ask.
My main issue with this premise is that, okay, they can get in as the 7 or the 8. Maybe they upset somebody. They're not going to beat Denver, but maybe they beat the Wolves. Maybe they beat OKC. Then they're going to win 2 more series on top of that.
Yeah.
They're an older team. They're not always the healthiest, and asking them to win 3 series like that on the road seems a little far-fetched for me.
Is this team better or worse than last year's team?
I could say better.
You could say better. I'd say better.
Better.
So I would say so too.
Vanderbilt, a healthy Vanderbilt would be nice. But
last year's team got to the Western Conference Finals. We joke all the time, most competitive sweep in NBA history.
It was.
Obviously,
the path was easier though.
Yeah.
This is why this is a bold prediction.
Yeah.
If anybody is going to win the West, you probably need a random, a Murray injury or something to happen with Denver for Denver to not win the West. And I think if anybody can do it, it's the Lakers. Wes, you've been quiet.
Wes is staring into the abyss.
No, it's okay. My whole thing about the Western Conference is I feel so concerned to pick any horse in that race because there are so many paths that could go one way or the other, especially dependent on the matchups. So I agree with you in many parts about how the Lakers could make it to the at least conference finals given their experience. But again, who are they going to match up against? What type of injury luck are they going to have? What type of injury luck are their opponents going to have?
They have been very healthy this season, which it's that type of thing.
Yeah, that's
an anomaly.
Yeah, so that's my main thing. Look, if the price is really favorable,
23-1, baby, to win the West. That's a favorable price.
So I don't mind that.
That's numbers just jumping out.
I don't mind that.
It's worth the sprinkle.
It's just it could be any one of it could be 6 teams to win it. So that's my problem. And I don't feel confident staking a claim that any of them outside of Denver is stamped a chance to go right to the
I think I'll wrap it up real quick with this before we get to Wes's point. Right now at 23-1 with 5 games to go, including like there's a Memphis in there. They're at home for their tough games. If they can go like they're 8-1 in their last 9, if they can go 5-0 or 4-1 to close out the year, then realistically they could be in that 6 seed. And then what does that 23-1 number look like? That goes down to maybe 10 or 12.
Making
to
a
1.
hell of a
As,
leap.
uh,
there.
I mean, again, I just don't think they're getting it.
Hell of a leap.
I think the math really doesn't add
Yeah,
up
yeah.
to get to the 6 seed.
It's a tough road.
really tough.
They're gonna have to win a playing game, potentially 2, and then match up against either Denver, Minnesota, OKC.
Minnesota, OKC, dude. If you're telling me it's going to be Lakers and OKC, and this Lakers team that's just all the experience going up, it's
Fair point.
reminiscent
That's
of
a good
last year
matchup
against
for them.
Memphis,
Fair point.
minus the
Like
draw
it's
stuff.
going to likely be Denver or Minnesota. OKC has injuries right now. Denver atop
I think
right
Denver's
now.
going to get the
Minnesota
one.
has-
I think Denver's going to get the one.
Minnesota's got the tiebreaker, so it's going to be interesting. It's a tough path.
I don't fear Minnesota either, but okay, that's enough. That's enough LeBron talk. Well, actually, there's never enough LeBron
no.
talk. But Wes, let's be bold. What is your bold prediction?
I mean, you can say it's bold. It's not. I think the Sixers are the one team that can beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference.
Well, come on.
That's the one team I think that actually has a legit ceiling chance to make it.
Is this
so-
anger? Is this anger? Is this disrespectful to the Heat?
Yeah, it's disrespectful to Miami Heat.
Oh yeah,
the one
another,
team. Like,
another
the one
Miami
team.
shout out. Look, listen. Let me.
The
okay.
one team.
So that's why I call it bold. But I'll say, look, the inspiration for this, it really comes down to how I thought Embiid looked in this one game that we saw. That's it. I needed to see him on the court. A lot of this has to do with eye test. I think the reason why the pricing was so long for Philly going into that last game, nobody knew how healthy this guy actually is. This is like very anti-numbers. This is not how I usually do things. I thought he looked very healthy. I don't know what you guys. Let's start there. How do you guys think he looked in his first game?
I think he looked good. He played 29 minutes.
I am a little just worried that it is like. Would it shock anybody if he plays the rest of this week and then we hear, oh, Embiid sitting knee soreness and then we don't know?
That is definitely part of the
He looked
gamble.
good. Through a
Do
game, he
you
looked
not
good.
think he looked
No,
okay?
he looked good. His timing was a little bit off. He lacks a bit of conditioning, but he still can do the things we expect from him. Where
Hold
he
on.
was playing
Even when he's fully healthy, he's always lacking a little bit
Well,
of conditioning.
yeah,
so
for sure.
conditioning is the thing, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
He's never gotten out of the second round, and every single playoffs, I find him wilting. He just tends to wilt a little bit more. He either gets hurt or he just can't keep up with the rigors of like these 6-7 game series. You like them to win the East? You like the value?
So what I love about the math. Okay, so I want to point out what that's all I do. I'm here to give you good math numbers. That's all I do. Come on. So what I like the most about it was.
Says he loves to give good math. Says this is mostly an eye
Eye
test
test,
play.
yeah.
But okay.
So I a little bit column A, But what I really liked about this price is, at the time Embiid went down, their championship odds was 11-1. Their odds to win the conference right now is 10-1.
It's a good number.
So you're telling me you can half the price to win one conference? Like, I'm not asking them to win the finals.
Yeah.
Okay, just win the Eastern Conference. It could be an easy path all the way up until Boston, and then that matchup. Okay, whatever. I get it. They're by and far the
They
favorites.
probably should have beat Boston last year. Like they threw
they-
that away.
But they're a different team now, so that's the other thing. So what? Okay, let's assume Embiid is healthy or fully healthy. Do you trust the rest of their team to beat teams like Boston? Because I don't know. We have to see it. I think Nick Nurse is a great coach.
Yeah, so that's a big part of
Big
it.
factor.
Melton is also out. I mean, they have Kelly Oubre's there, Kyle Lowry's there.
Oubre's been scorching lately too,
Yeah,
man.
so-
Oubre's been really
I do
good.
like the Lowry.
I do think they need to avoid Boston. And right now, like the West, everything is just up in the air. Are they
Yes.
going to be the 6th seed or are they going to be the 7th seed? Because if they do maybe gain some steam and win round 1 and then meet Boston later, that might be beneficial
Yeah,
for them
so-
than playing them right off the bat.
The way I see it happening right now is Philly has to get all the way up to the 6th seed, which is not likely.
Yeah.
If that does happen, they got to win outright
Yeah.
from this point on to the end of the season. But I like that Boston point you bring up about that team being different. In my opinion, Philly is as well. I think Nick Nurse being the coach has a big impact.
Yep.
I think Kyle Lowry being there gives them an intangible
Yep.
veteran presence they simply didn't have last year. And no disrespect to James Harden, yeah, he sucks in the playoffs.
Yeah, but
okay?
Nicholas Batum.
Go on,
like,
buddy.
the
Buddy-
guy-
Buddy
there.
Hield.
And,
So,
and
yeah.
another thing, I think Maxey has taken a leap.
Yeah.
Organic growth going into this year. You're giving Celtics credit for being a better and more experienced team. Embiid's gained experience through losing, and Maxi's also a very much improved player this year.
And you're a very well-known big Tobias Harris guy.
big Toby guy, right?
In a way, this has kind of worked out for Embiid because he won't get criticized that much if they fall short,
Yeah,
right?
because we've seen how bad they
Because
are
this,
without him.
leading up to this, before his injury, he was kind of running away with the MVP. Well, not in my opinion, but anyway.
Odds
Dude,
makers
he was
would
having
think
an
so.
unbelievable
but the
season.
Well, like
He says
this
he's
is the
healthy.
season you have to make the step in the playoffs. So the injury happens, but now it's kind of like a free roll for him. Where if they go down early, it's like, well, he
was
missed
hurt,
all
yeah.
this time.
Not that much pressure.
Yeah, less pressure. There's less pressure on
Considering
him.
what happened to him, I
Yeah.
think it's actually worthy of value. I just question their history. But
No, for
Nick
sure.
Nurse, Kyle Lowry, we can.
Well, Nick Nurse over Doc Rivers. We'll get to
Yeah.
Doc later.
More
but-
on Doc.
Look,
Yeah,
again,
more
the
on that.
comparison at the end of the day, before Embiid's injury, plus 470 to win the East. They're now 10-1 to win the East.
It's worth the sprinkle.
If Embiid is 90% of what he is, I don't see that price difference really making sense.
And now let's bring up the calculator. And what is that 23-1 Lakers bet parlayed with that 10-1 Philly? Like,
Can you even parlay though? I don't think you
probably
can.
not. I
you
don't
could
think-
do like a
But if
meeting at the
so,
final.
either way, then we're all retired when we hit that. So
There is a way you bet that. You bet NBA finalists,
Yes.
Lakers
Yes,
versus
yeah, yeah,
Philly.
yeah.
That's how you get that in there on FanDuel. all
Do
right?
it. Bet it.
you think I won't?
I think you won't. yeah.
Okay, your two kind of play off of each other. Who wants this first?
Go ahead.
So the LA Clippers will not make it past the first round of the NBA
That
playoffs.
is bold. That's
Can
very
you
bold.
feel it in the air? The Clippers are clippering in front of our eyes. James Harden
It's
turning
tough.
into a pumpkin. Kawhi's got knee issues.
He does.
They can't defend anymore.
Hey, they own January though.
And here's the thing. Realistically, half of the reason I'm saying this is because the Mavs are trending to play them in round one.
Hey,
And
hey.
so that looks like it's going to be the 4-5.
Hey, hey.
So the way Dallas has played since trading for Gafford at the All-Star break or at the trade deadline, they've been amazing. They've been a top defense, a top offense, and what they lacked before was defensive solidity. And now they have that, and they have Luka Doncic, man. And Kyrie Irving as a secondary scorer is working perfectly off him. I'm not fully convinced by all their role players, but when you got Luka at the table, man, good luck.
So our picks are playing off each other.
Yeah.
So I have Dallas out the West, and it's because.
So
of
wait,
Luka.
sorry, you're saying Dallas winning the West?
Dallas to win the Western
What's-
Conference.
that-
Whoa,
what is
hey,
that?
come on. I'm round one, but hey, all right.
What's the number?
That is bold. That is
Bold.
What's the
I
number?
was,
What's
I
the
was
number?
told bold. I believe it's plus 1,200 at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay.
They are, to me, they have arguably the second best player in the Western Conference.
So, but you like Kawhi better.
I like healthy Kawhi.
We
He is-
talked about this.
But he is not.
But he's currently not
But
healthy.
he's currently
Yeah.
not healthy. So going into
Yeah.
the playoffs right now, Luka Doncic is on an absolute tear.
Yes, he is.
Before we did this pod, we were gonna bring up the question whether he should be the MVP, and that kind of has deflated
It
a
should
little
be
bit.
more in the conversation, but the straw poll took that.
Yeah, 'cause he's-
disarmed us.
Yes, and he's the straw poll, which is unbelievable. Great source of information for betting MVP every single year. I just feel like Luka right now. We've seen Luka dominate in the playoffs. He's a couple years removed from reaching the Western Conference Finals, and he's had two epic playoff series against your Clippers.
This is the trilogy.
This is the
right?
trilogy.
This is
I
going to
think-
be the
and
trilogy.
You know what? If they play again, I think Luka gets them.
Yes,
they got
they will.
Kyrie Irving, who is listen, I think a lot of people have their thoughts on Kyrie. I think he's one of the most talented, skilled players in the league. And this year, he's on it. He has one of the nicest buzzer beaters I've ever
Yeah,
seen
oh, yeah.
in my
Of course,
entire life.
amazing.
A lefty hook. As a lefty myself and a guy who loves hook shots. Oh, just
Yeah.
beautiful.
I would say it's second best buzzer beater I saw this year because of the way that you won us a game at Bricklayers a couple weeks ago.
We're bringing in the men's league references,
yeah.
everyone. We're
True.
bringing them in. Great shot.
You know what? Excellent point by you. I just think to me this is Dallas's year, and you made the point earlier about their depth across the board. Kyrie Irving is a worthy number 2. Also has one of the best shots in NBA history. Game 7
Yeah.
against the Warriors.
He's
Dallas-
kind of been dining out on that for a while though. So let's see it again in the playoffs.
Yeah, if there is a
Fair point.
criticism, I do worry about Kyrie defensively in a playoff series against a team
And
like the
Luka.
Clippers, who are
And Luka. Both
Luka
of
at
them.
least can kind of stand up a little bit. He's big.
But the Clippers also have
Kyrie,
James Harden.
Kyrie will get hunted. I mean, this is just if the Clippers don't. Okay, the Clippers are also second to win the West in odds right now,
Which
is
I
ridiculous.
find insane, right? Like
Sorry, we gotta call FanDuel out. That is
I'm
a mistake.
sorry.
It's not just FanDuel. Everyone's buying into the hype. I think it's a lot to do with quality.
There's the only sports book I know is FanDuel.
Fair point.
Yes.
The Clippers are they're the Fredo Corleone of the LA sports scene. Yeah. I don't see that changing anytime
They might be
soon.
the Fredo Corleone of all of sports. Like that's what they are. That is their MO. Their entire franchise history.
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
If there was a list of teams who can't have nice things in the NBA, are they number one?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have to be number one, right?
I mean, if you want to stretch out your bold prediction, I think a better way to put it is like putting any money on the Clippers to win the West is dumb money.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way
Yeah.
to say it. Because, like, for them to be second, given the path that they might have to run through, given how their injury situation is coming into the playoffs, it is not a good trend. It's a great spotlight to
For
say
sure.
that matchup
And
against
you
them.
know, they brought in James Harden to try to help get them over the hump, but James Harden's playoff moments list can't even fill up a page, okay? Let alone a pamphlet or a
The
book.
bad ones can.
Bad
Yeah,
ones,
sorry, the bad ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
and he's hurt.
Let's like
Yeah.
hold
hurt,
on.
man.
Let's
Something's
just like
up.
last year when Harden needed to step up. I'm pretty sure. What do you have? Like a 50-point game against.
And what happened Game 6?
I know, but like it shouldn't
Game
have.
7.
but see
Game
that's
6,
more,
they had a lead with like it shouldn't.
that's more on
they
Embiid.
neglected-
That's
and
more on
yes,
Embiid.
exactly.
Well, they didn't give the ball. to
No, yeah,
Jamal
Okay,
they
well,
didn't get it into him.
So go
on-
get the ball, man.
Yeah.
Fair
Go
point.
get the ball.
Fair point.
I'm just saying the Harden.
Want to segue Doc
obviously,
Rivers now? Or?
we love to poke at Harden, but I think Harden last year
He won them 2 games.
At least won them
did.
some games and stepped up in those
Yeah,
in the
I-
playoffs.
He sure did.
And those are probably the best moments of his career in
They
the
are, they are.
playoffs.
They probably are.
How bad is
Well,
that?
no, let's Dallas closing out the Dallas series when he was with OKC to take them to the
Yeah,
finals.
yeah.
That literally ran through him on a team where they had Durant
like
and
a
Westbrook. I know
decade
a long time
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Just saying, it was a good playoff moment.
It was an amazing playoff moment, and that's the James Harden I like.
Yeah.
I don't like this current version.
6 man off the bench.
Yeah. I just don't like this current version. Again, I need to see it, man. It's just one of those things you just need to see. Clippers. So that's your pick? Just Clippers to lose in the first round?
Yeah.
That's your bold pick?
It's bold.
I
Is that
think
not bold
I-
enough for you?
is
That's
it
bold.
not bold
we need-
enough?
We need a safety pick.
I mean,
we got one.
I
in case the comments, you know.
I mean, they
they're
are
gonna go at
second
us.
to win the West.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So
Good
Good point. Yeah, that's
you know,
good.
I
So,
mean,
you,
like
so you
that.
could parlay 3 of them. You just
Yes,
can't
yeah, you can't. Yeah, yeah.
So we're at odds.
Yeah, exactly.
essentially.
So now
Excellent.
it's very rare that the 4 of us will agree on something, although it does happen from time to time.
Occasionally.
But we do have our bold prediction that we'll finish our 5th bold prediction. We are fading the Bucks and
my
fading
goodness.
the Bucks hard. We can't really say they're going to lose in the first round because you don't know what the matchup is, but
They might lose.
they're
in the
going to
first round.
probably lose in the first round
Yes.
depending on who they get.
It's very like I'd say whatever the long odds you get against on their opponent, whoever it is, I'm gonna take a very long look at that.
Listen, man, we live in Toronto, okay? All we hear about when the Raptors won the title was that Golden State had injuries. You know, Durant was out, Clay got hurt, blah, 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 all that stuff. But no one seems to bring up the Bucks' nonsense path to their title. And I'm going to keep bringing it up because I was about to swear. It infuriates me. It infuriates me that is not brought up in their path. Okay, they beat Miami in that first round in 2021. Good for you. You beat Miami. Miami got you in the bubble.
Sure.
You got them back. Clean win. It was a sweep. Good for you. Second round. Irving, Harden, both get hurt. Durant,
And
toe on the
still,
line.
it's still, yeah.
Should have been 3-0.
Dude, they couldn't score. And Steve Nash was the coach. Durant averaged over like 42 minutes a game.
Toe
He was
on the
running
line.
into the ground.
The amount of
Toe on
money
the
I
line.
had on that Nets
They were-
team
they
to
were-
win the title
yeah.
was just, it's like,
Bucks
just a dagger in the heart.
Squeak by in 7. Good for you. You squeaked by the Nets, who had 2 of their best guys out.
Hold on, but you're
Congratulations.
juggernaut conference finals opponent.
The Atlanta Hawks and Trae Young. And like, okay, and you took what, 6 games to get by them?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? You had a easy path to the finals, and then you faced the Phoenix team, who on their own side, on the West, got through an injured Clippers team, barely, got through an injured Utah Jazz team.
Lakers were injured too. in the
Lakers
first
were
round,
injured,
yeah.
and yeah, like, that was a good regular season team, but they were not a title team.
That Phoenix
And
team
they
was
won-
good, but they sort of just shot themselves in the foot in that
They were-
finals, and
they were
Giannis
fine.
went
They
to
also
another
solid
they
level.
didn't
team.
really have the bodies to.
They didn't have the bodies,
yeah.
they didn't have the horses. They also had DeAndre Ayton, who, you know,
He had an okay
probably
finals.
his best
It's a
ever
moment, yeah.
showing in the
To your
NBA.
point, the Bucks have never really
It's
proven
fraudulent.
it since then.
It was
They've
fraudulent.
never proven it.
Yes,
since
they
then.
haven't proven it since then.
Yeah.
They got lucky then. We don't hear about it. We hear about a lot of other stuff about, like, you know, injury luck here, injury
Even
luck
last
there.
year, Giannis was hurt, otherwise they beat the Heat.
Yeah, it's true, but you're right though. As people in Toronto, we have to hear about Clay and Durant for every time the finals is brought up.
We're close
Yeah.
to it. We're
Yeah.
close to it. It's just I don't see anyone bringing up their path.
Yeah.
And I just think that once you go back and you provide the context, they have been frauds for years. They're not just frauds now. They've been frauds for years, and I cannot wait to fade them. Now, with that said, it really depends on who their first round opponent is.
Sure.
If they go up against the Knicks, even without Julius
Hold on.
Randle, I'm taking the Knicks.
Do they have?
Is OG playing? The Knicks
That would
are,
also
the
be
Knicks are
important.
just too
Yeah.
much of a question mark. Listen, if I'm
Hypothetically,
pushing back against fading the Bucks, it just once again the East doesn't look like a team of juggernauts
Yeah.
here, right? Like, are the Bucks going to lose to the Magic? No.
If the Bucks play his Sixers,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an interesting
Slapping
series.
the
That's an
Sixers.
interesting
But even
series.
that's when
Yeah.
we're like the odds are going to be pretty close to even. I would say.
I
What's
mean,
Milwaukee
probably
gonna be,
not
minus
even.
150?
I think you still get plus money on Philly, and then I would look at that long and hard. I think the main thing for me talking about present day frauds, we know they've been frauds for years. My issue is, what have we heard all year about the Bucks? Oh, they just need time. Dame and Giannis, they'll figure it out. Best pick and roll in the NBA. We're on game 77?
Yeah.
Figure it out, guys. Can't be losing to the Wizards with 2 weeks to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
and the
So,
Grizzlies
I don't
at
care.
home.
Like I don't care about all their injury woes. Suck it up. All right.
So-
Everyone's hurt right now. They're not in shape to do any damage in the playoffs, and I would fade them at all costs.
And we didn't mention Dame Lillard either.
Well, that's especially in playoffs, he
Sure.
will be hunted. We talked about other guys being that guy will be hunted relentlessly more than any other point guard in the NBA.
Yeah, and my main thing is, well, first of all, I think they're 500 under Doc. So this guy who was brought in to like as
The
the,
savior.
magic elixir to save their season is 500.
Fun podcaster,
Yeah, great. He was great on the Ringer.
questionable coach.
Questionable coach. And in watching them, they can't stay in front of guards. Like
they can't.
D'Angelo Russell has carved them up twice.
Yeah.
Anyone who's fast.
What a game that was! You want to see Fab meltdown? Bucks Lakers.
As someone with the
That's a
under
great
on the
meltdown.
Lakers win total, no, I didn't like it. I didn't like the
great.
first one or the second one.
That was great.
Okay, I'm getting PTSD from these guys, man. So you know what? They don't play defense. You're relying on Malik Beasley. He's your wing
Pat
stopper.
Connaughton.
I don't know. They look frail, man.
Look,
They don't-
if you've watched enough Bucks games, you've seen too many meltdowns.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
simple.
exactly.
You've seen it too many times this season, and you know what? You cannot give them the benefit of the
Yeah.
doubt.
Can't.
Yeah.
You cannot. Is Chris
not.
Middleton back to like where he was? I don't think so.
No, he might never be.
Brooke-
That era of his career is over.
Brooke Lopez seems taking a step back a little
I'll
bit.
shout out Giannis. He always shows up.
Yeah.
He he's gonna go down fighting no matter what. You got to give him his props
For sure.
But as a whole, it's not adding up.
Do you know what'll be great though? If they can get a 3-1 lead and then we can all
Oh, that's it.
in-game
Whoever their
playing,
Doc River special.
then that's a great way for us to make money. Yeah,
hell
so
of a statement.
those are
Your
our
gamblers
bold,
wait for those
those are
kind
the
of
bold
moments.
predictions. So just roast us in the comments now.
Do your best.